Now, how did the Bruins do in terms of the actual trade deadline? Because honestly, we were really close to maybe Don Sweeney's best day as a Bruins GM. Now, it comes with the huge caveat of he put them into this mess where they had to be giant sellers, and that's not good. But I thought everything except the Marchand deal was really good business, like really good business. Every single one of them, I thought, wow, a little more than I expected. To the point where I was okay with them keeping Morgan Geekie. I'm like, okay, fine. This guy could be a valuable piece for you. Not a cornerstone player, but he can be a valuable piece for you in the right contract over the next couple of years. He's still pretty young. He's now got 22 goals. He's playing well with Pastrnak. And the other deals I thought were good. I already talked a lot about the Trent Frederick one. I would have traded him for a second-round pick straight up. Got a second-round pick and a prospect who might be in the NHL soon. Okay. Love that. Justin Brazeau, hoping to get a mid to late round pick. You got I think a 6th-round pick in there, but you also got 2 roster players. Okay, fine. Taking flyers, right? One of them is the kid, the 22-year-old Russian center who's also played wing on Saturday. Husnadinov, I think is how you say that. Been practicing all weekend. Okay, the kid's claim to fame is that he played on a line with Matvei Michkov in Russia. Great. But, 2nd-round pick, I think. Maybe 1st-round pick, late 1st-round pick. There's some upside here. You just take flyers on these guys. Lauko, he's a warm body. He'll get you through the rest of the season. But Brazeau was giving you nothing. So to get some flyers in return is fine. Charlie Coyle. I thought that was a big win. And I hated seeing Charlie Coyle go as a local South Shore guy. But you got a guy who's has been a fairly, I think it's fair to say he's been a disappointment in his career. Casey Mittelstadt is a former top 10 pick. But he's got more points than Coyle this year, and he's 7 years younger. He gives you a lot of the same things Coyle does, and he's younger. And a similar cap hit. Okay, fine. You get him plus a 2nd-round pick. Like, all right, we're cooking here. And a prospect, Zellers. This kid Zellers, who's playing in the USHL. He's a project. He's going to come in the same time Dean Letourneau does because he's going to play at North Dakota next year. But all right, a kid, another center. You've loaded up on a ton of centers who instantly slots in as a top 3 or 5 prospect in your system. To me, that's a big win. I love Charlie Coyle, and I'm seriously thinking about getting the Centennial jersey that's less than $100 on the Bruins website now because I love the South Shore guys. But he was giving you nothing this year. He was useless. Totally useless on this team as a 33-year-old center. And you got something for him. And the coup d'etat of the day is Brandon Carlo. Brandon Carlo to a division rival, a team that you hate, sure, in Toronto. But you get Toronto's probably 2nd-best prospect, albeit not a 27th-ranked prospect pool in the league. But their 2nd-best prospect, who also plays center, plus a 1st-round pick. For Brandon Carlo, who hasn't given you anything the last year and a half and is not the player that Toronto thinks he is. Like, you're going nowhere, and he's a top 4 stay-at-home defenseman that's about to blow out 30 birthday candles. And you got a team's 2nd-best prospect and a 1st-round pick in this year's draft when you are retooling. To now have a couple 1st-round picks, that's huge for the Bruins. Huge. And if this Minton kid can play, it's a huge bonus. He's played a cup of coffee with the big club this year. He's playing with the Marlies right now. To me, the Coyle trade and the Carlo trade in particular are huge wins. And hey, I mean, not for nothing. I think he got fleeced on the Panthers deal, but if that does become a 1st-round pick for Marchand, it's a long time from now, but by 2028, you're not still going to be crying about trading Brad Marchand. All you're going to know is you get an extra 1st-round pick. And by that point, you should be back on the road to something of contention. If you handle this thing right, you should be a good team by then, right? The alternative is what the Blackhawks are going through right now. And in that case, it's going to be a long time. But I think this was a good Don Sweeney day. Of course, too good to be true when it comes to the last deal in Marchand. But I'd put this right up there with the moves they made at the 23 deadline to get better as a great Bruins day for management up until the Marchand thing. It obviously became a PR nightmare after that. But look, I'm not going to give them a pass for getting them in this situation. The reason why they were in such a Zellers situation, a clean house situation, was because of management, because of the front office and their asset management over the last 8 years, really. I mean, we can go back pretty far on this. Like, if they hadn't had a core group of guys that were really dedicated to the Bruins and taking hometown discounts, this would have happened years ago. Don Sweeney, the only thing he's been good at is trade deadlines. Everything else he sucked at, eye for talent, letting guys walk, free agency market, salary cap. He hasn't been good at any of it except for trade deadline deals. And he got really good value on 4 of these 5 deals. And honestly, as much as I hated the 5th one, the Marchand one, again, if that becomes a first round pick in 28 and you're buyers at the trade deadline looking to make a run and you've got 2 first round picks that year, we're going to be saying, maybe that was a good deal after all. The Panthers went out in the conference finals and we got a first round pick out of it. That's great, man. That's great. But it is tough for Bruins fans to, and myself included, to separate the sentimentality of it. Brad Marchand, I wouldn't mind seeing him come back as your captain for a rebuild, sign again in the summer. But if it's going to be $6 million a year, maybe I don't want that. And maybe that is what Marchand's looking for. Maybe he can fetch that somewhere, the way Jerome McGinley did after he left Boston. But overall, I thought it was a pretty good trade deadline. And look, the kids played inspired on Saturday. I would rather them, honestly, tank than just get close to the playoff picture and not get in. But they mentioned it a ton in the broadcast on Saturday. They've got a ton of guys now who are in the NHL, but might not be in a couple months. So they're going to be playing hungry. They're going to be really settled into their roles. It's going to be an interesting watch. And they played really hard on Saturday against Tampa. They got, an own goal and a crazy red line Mark Kastelik goal on Vasilevsky and a wonky play. But they brought the effort for all 60 minutes in that game and deserved a shutout win. So who knows? Maybe they could make a run at this playoff picture. But honestly, I'd rather them be picking in the top 5, 6, 8, whatever. But overall, I thought it was a good trade deadline day. It's just that return on Marchand might come back to bite them, in all honesty.
We are Rogue Media Sports.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. And if you like this video, be sure to give us a like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel a ton. You can follow me on Twitter here for some more outrageous Boston sports takes coming to you every weekday at noon Eastern time. And then after that, wherever you get your podcasts.
We are Rogue Media Sports.